Lessons we can learn from Moses. It can be hard to connect Moses' life to the Old Testament if all that comes to mind are burning bushes, plagues, and parted seas. But it is simpler to recognize the values and lessons we can take from him and apply to our own lives when we keep in mind that he was a flawed person, just like us, who required God's strength and direction. With that in mind, here are 5 lessons we can learn from Moses' life. Number 1. Take up your calling. When God called Moses to lead the Israelites out of slavery in Egypt, Moses was initially hesitant, pushing back with ifs and buts. Eventually, though, he took up his calling and trusted God. This is a reminder that no matter how difficult it may seem, if God has called us to do something, He will equip us to get it done. Number 2, have faith. When the Israelites were trapped between the Red Sea and the pursuing Egyptian army, Moses had faith and told them to stand firm and watch how God saves them. Imagine being in their shoes. As we face struggles, our own Red Sea moments, let our faith in God bring assurance that He will deliver us. Number 3, stay humble. While Moses initially got off to a bad start, killing an Egyptian man and fleeing from Egypt, which resulted in a 40-year wait before he was ready to lead the enslaved Israelites out of Egypt, God chose him as the leader of the Israelite people. For the most part, he remained humble and obedient to God. This might act as a reminder for us to maintain our humility in the eyes of God and one another, even in the face of authority and power. Number 4, don't try to do it all on your own. If it weren't for the wisdom of Jethro, Moses' father-in-law, Moses would probably have burnt out. Rather, Jethro firmly advised delegation after he saw how Moses was sitting by himself as the people's judge, resolving all of their conflicts. We are told that Moses listened to his father-in-law and did everything he said. Verse 24. Let us also consider Jethro's advice, wisely trusting in others to help us when we need it. Number 5, seek God's will. When the people acknowledged that they had sinned when we spoke against the Lord and against you, referring to Moses, Moses sought God's will in prayer. Afterwards, we read that Moses made a bronze snake and put it up on a pole. Then when anyone was bitten by a snake and looked at the bronze snake, they lived. Verse 9, NIV. It's not always obvious what we should do in challenging circumstances. Let's remember to seek God's will for a solution, knowing that sometimes the instructions might not make much sense to us. Moses' life serves as an outstanding example of how to seek out and follow God's will in one's life. He demonstrated that trusting God and following His guidance, even in the face of uncertainty, is both possible and wise. May Moses serve as a role model for us as we strive to live godly lives.